Bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-dum ba-ba-dum lum bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-dum ba-ba-dum. Hello, my friends from Humble, Texas. Hi, Tina. Great town. Great name of a town. Apsley, Ontario. Hi, Fiona. And Paula. Hi, Paula from Wisconsin. Old friend Paula. Nice to see everyone. Elizabeth from Pennsylvania. Hello, everyone. Shelly from Wisconsin. We got people from a lot of the Midwest, South Florida. Hi, Noreen. Hello from Quartzville, Arizona. So happy to be here from Buffalo, says Irene. So you say I have a snazzy new look. Buffalo is a snazzy new look. Hello, great teacher. Oh, what a nice thing to say, Celeste. Wonderful to see you here. Carrie in Texas, and howdy from McKinney. And I've got friends. I've got Margot is. I can't read it very quickly. Someone from Greece. Margasat. Margasat is from Greece. Hi, friends. From Tampa, Ohio, West Virginia. Hi, friends. Good evening. Here we are again, Monday night, as always. My name is Joette Calabrese, and every Monday night we meet at 8 o'clock Eastern Time to do one thing and one thing only, and that is for me to teach you homeopathy and for you also to share some of your own information with each other and encourage each other to learn more so that we can all join in this incredible liberty, the freedom from angst, because we know what to use as our medicines instead of the old way, the pharmaceutical, the chemical way, the manufactured drugs of industry. We can rely on homeopathy a great deal. And so, hi to those of you who don't know me. And for those who do know me, hi, friends. It's great to see you all. I see you from Denver, and oh, it's so wonderful. Yeah, this is fun. So, it's like Romper Room. I know it is, isn't it? Boy, you must be my age if you remember Romper Room. All righty, my friends. It's almost the end of winter. We're almost to Easter, for goodness sakes. Lent is starting up. I'm giving up chocolate. I do it most every year. And I'm really going to work on it this year. I'm really going to push that. So that's my offering. I'd like to hear what other people offer as well for Lent, for those of you who are Catholic and follow the faith. And so, but let's talk about the end of winter, because winter in the North, Canada and Northern U.S., Midwest, and some parts of Europe as well, are still experiencing winter. And I want to kind of recap some of the things that I've taught you through this winter. I won't cover all of them. I'm hoping you'll bring some up. But meanwhile, I want you to know that sometimes it's good to, not sometimes, actually, repetition is really important in learning. And so I like to repeat certain things because I think that can make a big difference. So remember, we're on X, we're on Rumble, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram. I have to look at a Pinterest, Facebook. I said YouTube. But more importantly, we're on Mighty's. So for those of you who have not joined Mighty's, do indeed. I don't know if Serena's with me tonight. Maybe Serena, you can put in there the information on going to Mighty's. But anyone who wants to join Mighty's, because I will stay on. I'll be meeting once I end with X, Rumble, Instagram, etc. tonight. Excuse me. I'll be going to Mighty's, and then they'll be able to ask me questions that I would not necessarily be willing to answer on the internet. So, for those of you who are interested, you can always go to Joette's Learning Center, and or even just write to joettecalabrese.com or practicalhomeopathy.com. and you'll be able to find information on joining Mighties. I think it's a great opportunity to be in a little community and also just to get a little extra information. And there we go. There we go. It's already listed. Joette Calabrese staff, she's got it listed here. Very good. Very good. For those of you who can see that, that would be great. Very nice. So let's talk about winter, what's left of winter, what we need to do in order to remember how to protect ourselves, what to do in case of an injury or concern, etc. And let's start with the aches and pains from shoveling. And the reason I bring this up is because yesterday I heard it was 11 degrees in Buffalo, my hometown. I'm in Florida, but my hometown was so cold. And I know that shoveling and breaking up ice so that it's not dangerous is really a regular activity. And I always worry about this, not so much about the aches and pains, although we'll talk about that too. I'm more worried about injuries, slipping on ice, falling on the ice and hitting your head, hitting a shoulder, falling and then landing on a knee or both knees or the hands. And so we will talk about aches and pains, but let's go to an injury. Injury from hitting our head. And I know that most of you, anyone who's been with me for any length of time knows that the medicine for hitting the head, an injury to the head, is Arnica montana. Arnica montana. And so I use Arnica montana in a 3, I use it in a 6, I use it in a 30th potency, but when it's a head injury, I go directly to a 200, 200X or 200C. And we use it frequently. If somebody's hit their head, they've fallen on the ice and they've landed on something hard, and it really feels like this is not so good. Either they get a goose egg from having hit hard and we want to bring that down, or a hematoma, or an injury that causes someone to maybe cause some foggy headedness, etc. Arnica montana can be truly the top premier medicine for injuries to the head at that moment in time. It helps absorb the blood, such as in a hematoma. It brings the person back round again from having had that shock of having hit, especially the head. It brings down the pain. It calms the person down. It can even reduce the chance of concussion. Or if there is already a concussion, perhaps on the way to the hospital, should you feel compelled to do such a thing, one would be using Arnica montana on the way. So now, how often? That's always the question. Well, the reason we don't have exact times for acute situations like this is because we don't know how severe it is. If it's just a hit on the head and the person feels a little beat up from it, but doesn't seem too serious, then we might use Arnica montana 200C maybe every hour in the beginning or every couple of hours, and then the next day every couple of hours, and then the next day perhaps twice a day. And then generally, if the condition is much improved, then we pull back and not use it as frequently, or we even stop altogether. And we'll know that if we're stopping altogether, we'll know if it needs to be brought back into the into your thinking again, and get right back into repeating it time and again. Okay, so that's if there's an injury. Now listen, to the head. What if it's an injury to the knee or the hip? Same thing, my friends. It's just that Arnica montana is such a great medicine for the head. It's also good for injuries to the bones, hit to the bone. It can also be a great medicine for injury to soft tissue, such as the thighs. Or for a woman who falls and maybe slips and hits the side of her car or something like that, and it's a breast injury, so soft tissues. Injuries to soft tissues, it can help really reduce the shock, the pain, the potential of further injury, etc. So, somebody's saying my video is stuck. Is anybody having any difficulty in hearing me and seeing me? Nope, I think everyone's doing all right. Might be yours. Okay. Alrighty, so after a head or a shoulder or breast injury, hip, knee, etc., we're going to consider the aches and pains from shoveling. So that's more of a repetitious problem. It's not a striking problem, but it's a repetitious. And I also love Arnica montana for overusing the body. And thank you very much for saying it's not stuck, Francine. That is clear stream now, says Harriet. Good. The audio and video is not good, somebody's saying. I don't know. Everyone else is saying it's okay. It might be your stream. All righty. So, Perry, I don't know if you can hear me. Perry, can you hear me? Maybe there's something going on in the with the internet. So I'm hoping that this doesn't keep going. Hear you fine. Hear you fine. Everybody's saying everything is good. Okay, good. All right, so we can use Arnica montana for shoveling as well. But we also, because it's still an injury of sorts, it's not a striking injury. It is an injury that's more a repetitious injury. And in that case, my first medicine choice is, thank you, Alice, rudigraviolens. And someone else just said, was Francine, Rhus tox. So I love Rhus, R-H-U-S. Second word is tox. This is an abbreviation. I'm not going to give you the whole name. It's Rhus toxicodendron, but I don't expect you to know, to have to spell that all out, because my friends, Rhus tox is the medicine that does, even in a short version of the word, is a very useful remedy for injuries to overuse. So it's kind of an injury from overuse. So it's the joints and the muscles that are in pain. So how about arthritis from cold weather? Let me take a sip of water and let's see what you folks come up with for arthritis from cold weather. Sveta says it was stuck twice for you. I'm not sure I understand. Tina says it was stuck twice. Got stuck twice, says Tessa. Well, I'm so sorry. It's got to be something, I don't know. Others are saying on this forum that it's fine. So I'm really sorry. I don't think it's within our ability to do anything about it from here. Yes, says Pamela. Rhus tox again. I really like Rhus tox from when somebody has arthritis from cold temperatures. That is the reason, my friends, many people travel down south to Florida and other warmer states because they have arthritis that is instigated or even brought on by the cold weather. That's usually the more, when it's severe cold or it's damp cold, we find that arthritis can be much worse in that weather. And so, yes, Rhus tox, absolutely. I love Rhus tox, and in that case, I use also a 200. I've used a 30, and I've also used a 200. And generally, the way I use that, because it's not really an injury, I use that twice daily over a period of days. As soon as the improvement ensues, we back off. If it recurs again, if it reestablishes itself, that pain in the joints and muscles, then we go right back to that Rhus tox 30 or 200 twice daily. And again, halt the use of it once there's a good amount of improvement. Yes, Rhonda, Rhus tox is amazing. Yeah, you can cure someone's arthritis with Rhus tox. I've seen it happen more than once. So, we have, and it doesn't have to necessarily be just in relationship to the cold weather. It could simply be garden variety arthritis, perhaps from eating foods that they're sensitive to, inflammatory foods like tomatoes, eggplant, and those kinds of foods. And I also tell people, if they're really plagued by arthritis, and they want to get it much more under control, I urge people to consider stop eating vegetables. Yes, I know some think that's absolutely crazy, but and instead eat beef and lamb and bison and fish and those high protein and high fat foods, and eliminate the vegetables, because vegetables can be inflammatory for some people. So it's something to consider doing. Okay, now let's talk about frostbite and frostnip. Frostbite, chilblains, love that word, chilblains, which is chilblains is the precursor to frostbite. And also when the hands and feet are getting very, very cold and they turn white, sometimes even blue from lack of circulation. But let's go first to chilblains, and because that's the first step to frostbite. And in that case, we use agaricus, A-G-A-R. Let me write it out. A-C-U-S, agaricus, and I like to use that in a 200 potency twice daily until we see that or even 3 times a day for the first day or 2 after getting exposed to so much cold that they have frost nip, a frostbite, and such. Now, let's say this is for an acute condition. This is very important for acute. By acute, I mean it's short-lived. It's not something someone suffers from on a regular basis. It was an exposure to too much cold with not enough covering and protection of the hands, toes, nose as well. So it's an acute situation. So we use it until the person seems as though they're really making some great improvements, some real strides, and then we open it up and use it less frequently. If it's severe enough, my friends, this frostbite, etc., then you might want to use it every hour for the first couple of hours just to get the body up and running and moving along with it. So agaricus 200, love it. Okay, now let's talk about more of a chronic condition when people suffer from vascular issues. Their hands and feet are always cold. Sometimes it's called Raynaud's. Sometimes we don't even have a definition or a diagnosis. All we have is that my hands and feet are always cold. So it's a vascular issue. And in that case, we're going to use a combination medicine, 2 medicines mixed together. That's a Banerjee protocol that works absolute wonders. It's called Hamamelis 200 mixed with Arnica 3. And it is an excellent remedy for when someone has a circulation problem. All right, this is we have some other questions coming up, and I'm going to try to answer them in a minute. Excuse me. So that's frostbite. That's chilblains. It's those kinds of conditions, as well as hands and feet that are chronically cold. So when somebody has chronic cold, we're going to use it twice daily until we see that their hands can start pinking up and the person is starting to react normally to a regular amount of coldness. I've had people report to me that their hands are just fine until they go into the freezer section in the grocery store and get exposed to simply a package that's frozen. A package of frozen peas or something like that, and they pick it up and they put it in the cart, and that simple little action causes their fingers to get so cold they can't get warm again, and they start turning white. That is a call for Hamamelis arnica, the Banerjee protocol. Yes. Oh, I see you folks are really... Pam says from Columbia, Missouri, says, I use that remedy, Hamamelis arnica, for bulging veins whenever I need it. Yes, it's a vascular medicine, and it's really great for, as you said, bulging veins, for even try to think of some of the other vein issues. Any vascular issue, that is the medicine for it. Spider veins, varicose veins, even hemorrhoids. It's one of our best remedies for it. That's Hamamelis 200 Arnica 3. So tonight you're getting a lot of information here. So these are all writer-downers. And if you're missing it, come back to it. You can watch this in a few hours. It'll be up and running again. YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, etc. Okay, so people are asking, Hama what? Says Joanne. It's being written down right now. A lot of people are writing Hamamelis. Okay, let's go to, I want to go quickly because I want to get to one other very important medicine for winter, and that is for dry skin. Now, whether it's dry skin in the hands, the fingers might be peeling, the skin just feels taut, or the skin flakes, or looks ashy. More so, it's uncomfortable. We're not going to treat something that's mild, but we're going to treat something that, comes and goes readily. But for something that's really annoying or uncomfortable, dry, chapped lips. My son, when he was little, used to call them chipped lips. So for chipped lips, cracking heels on the feet, skin that cracks but doesn't have to be cracked. It can simply be dry. And look at you. Look at my students. I love it. Yeah, Pat from Kansas, and Christine and Susie and Robin. Yes, it's so good. Petroleum 200C. Now you would think, really? Petroleum? Isn't that what causes problems? I mean, petroleum can really be not a very good substance. It's not, using petroleum jelly is not a good plan on the skin. And I've talked about this before on my Monday Night Live. Doris Day said back in the 60s, I remember it because she reported it on, I don't know if it was a television program, an interview, or if it was some kind of an article in which she reported that she just smeared her body from head to toe with petroleum jelly and then wrapped it all up in plastic wrap. I think that's one of the worst things that we can do. We don't want petroleum on our skin. So watch for makeup and ointments and lotions that include petroleum, because petroleum only kicks the can down the road and causes more trouble in the long run. We should really be using, if we're going to put anything on our skin to make it more comfortable, we could use calendula cream, even calendula tincture, a little bit of that. Or an animal fat, lard, tallow, butter without salt. Some people find coconut oil is very useful. Others find coconut oil makes their skin more dry. So my favorite is I make tallow. I have wonderful students who make it and they give it to me as gifts as well. I mix up tallow or lard, more often tallow, and whip it all up. And sometimes I'll mix it with a little coconut oil and maybe an essential oil such as tangerine or something like that. Francine says, yes, use tallow. Tallow's excellent, and you can buy it yourself. It not only replenishes, but it's giving you the vitamins that are naturally in the tallow. Vitamin A, D, and E. That's what we find in tallow, and you're putting it directly on your skin. Lori says, I've been using Vaseline since a baby. It works for me for decades. Oh, I'm not telling you that it's not working, and I'm not telling, or that it certainly will be comforting. But for some people, it can cause trouble down the road. And it can cause a need for having to use it more frequently. And if you look up the remedy petroleum in a Materia Medica, because we're using petroleum in homeopathic formula, remember we're using it in a 200C. I hadn't said that yet. Petroleum 200C, once a day, once every other day, depending on how severe the dryness and cracking, etc. becomes. So what we find sometimes, yes, petroleum 200C works so well on cracked heels, says Robin. It really is an amazing remedy. Every once in a while I use it. I only need to take it maybe 1 or 2 days in a row, and that's it for myself for dry skin, or feels like my skin is a little too taut. Now, being in Florida, I don't have that experience, but when I'm up north, I do find that sometimes my skin just feels a little tight. Or it feels as though, especially my face might feel a little bit tight. I buy beef fat and render it down to tallow. Yeah, like pig fat, and render it to lard. Yes, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. That's exactly what I have done. Or you can simply buy tallow. You don't have to make it yourself. I've always made it, but you can buy it. I actually have some purchased as well in my refrigerator. You can get that, and you can get organic or pasture raised tallow. All righty, so one last medicine, my friends, in the winter, and that's for the winter blues. It especially happens at this time of year because it's not just the cold in the winter, but it's the gray. I always said in Buffalo at a certain time of the year, right about now, everything turns taupe. The snow is no longer white, fluffy, and pretty, or well, it comes and goes, but it's not as frequently or not as consistently as beautiful, and then it turns to slush and it's kind of brown, and especially in cityscapes. Now out in the country it's a little different, but it stays fresh and fresher and cleaner. But it can get to us. The lack of sun, we need sun, absolutely. Without sunscreen, my friends, did you hear what I said? I'm going to repeat it again. We need sun. Without sunscreen is not a good idea. I don't care how pure it is. I don't care how well it's made. Instead, I urge people to simply cover up. Don't go out in the sun for as long if you're prone. There are medicines. I've talked about it here. I won't go into that now. But because it is a very important thing to know, we don't put anything on our skin that we wouldn't eat. All right. Would petroleum help the condition of inflammation of cuticles and skin around the fingernails? I'm compelled to answer these questions. Yes, it could definitely do that. But let me go back to what we would use for the blues, for the winter blues. And I always think of Aurum metallicum. Excuse me. Aurum metallicum, 200C, every third day. Excuse me. If there's no improvement, then within a few days or so, we stop. We don't continue using that. Ignatia amara, 200C, twice daily is another alternative. That's often a great remedy, especially for women. It can be used for men as well, but generally Ignatia is a great remedy for women. And sometimes coffea. Coffea 200C, twice daily, can be also a very good medicine that can be taken alongside Aurum metallicum for those deep winter blues. And in any case, as you always know, my friends, when you improve, you halt the use of the medicine. If the condition returns, you commence taking it again. If it halts the condition again, then you stop again. And so you are always looking for that tipping point. At what point? I can't answer the question for you because we're basing it on the symptoms. How long are the symptoms lasting? And again, if the medicine doesn't act within a short period of time, my friends, it's time to abandon it. Someone asked me today, so how many remedies are there for depression? And I haven't counted them, but I'm going to guess there've got to be 50 to 80 homeopathic medicines that could be considered. And the same thing for any one of these conditions that I've mentioned tonight. Any one of them. It's not the only one. So if it doesn't act, we go to the next one. But most of these medicines and these protocols that I've shared with you are the first remedies to consider. And for those of you who don't know how to move along, I'm going to urge you, my friends, have you joined a gateway group? I want you to consider joining a gateway group. And you go to Joette's Learning Center and scroll down. In fact, it's right there. Gateway. Join a gateway, an online gateway study group. It will change your perspective if it hasn't already done so. Okay. Let's get back to some of the questions, and then I'm going to dash off in a minute and go to my mighties. Thomas says, I saw the post about remedies to help about carbon monoxide exposure. Some may have had multiple exposures over the years, and severe exposure can create neurological damage. You're absolutely right, including memory problems. Yes, that's exactly what I talked about. Cognitive impairment, mood disturbances, difficulty concentrating. It's exactly what happened to the client I was discussing in my article that I posted last night. And in severe cases, even movement disorders resembling Parkinson's disease. Can the same remedies help treat these more severe injuries? I would definitely start with what caused it, what the response is, and it just so happens that that's what caused it as well. I would definitely use the same medicine, carboveget tablets, but in more severe injuries, you might use an additional medicine. So you might use two, an additional medicine specific for Parkinson's-like conditions or for Parkinson's. So we might use two medicines, not at the same moment, but in the same schedule. So yes, it's a good question. Okay, it's 8:30 Eastern Time. I'm going to say goodbye to my friends online, and I'm going directly to my Mighties, and I'll be answering your questions there. Tell me when we're ready, Perry. I'm just going to